We thank everybody for being here at the Working Paws Trainer Talk. Tonight, we're going to be talking a little bit about balancing schedules and the time you spend doing activities with your dog. So, the first question is kind of a threefold question because we want to know about the amount of time you spend with your dog in a working environment while you're actively training and while you're doing, I said enrichment, which could include games, but a lot of training is games. So try to differentiate there a little bit, like between games that you're playing specifically for training and games that you're playing specifically for your dog's enjoyment.
There's a difference?
Well, sometimes. Sometimes there's an overlap. A lot of games we play are specifically fun for the dog while they teach something. Almost all my games teach something.
Well, that's why I said that there's a difference.
But
I use a lot of watch me because he is distractible.
right.
And so it's a game. It still reminds him in an enjoyable way that focusing on me is a good thing,
Mhm.
Right.
So I consider that training, even though it's old hat.
Let's do our work around the room. So starting with Cindy, kind of ballpark it. And obviously, days are going to be different. You have a bad day, you might not do much. But so just try to ballpark an average day. How much time do you spend in a work environment?
Well, it's I kind of blend it all together because when he works a lot.
All right, let's redefine that. How much time do you spend in a place where you normally wouldn't take a pet?
Not much. But I have him do a lot of tasks around the house.
Right. That's why I redefined it that way. Because my dogs do a lot of work around the house and I don't really count that. So think out of the house when you take your dog out to do something.
It depends on a week. Like this week, he's had 5 days in a row of public access of 2+ hours each day, most of those days being about 4 hours a day. And he's been working basically, if I'm taking him in public access, I consider that work because he has to be in a different mindset than if he's around the house. And I still feel like that a lot of that public access training for him is still public access training because he's still thinking, because the crowds around here are so different than the crowds where you are.
Right.
So, like I'd say probably 4 hours a day when I'm at my best, because that's about what he can tolerate.
Gotcha. So that's mixing work and training. Do you want to add to that 4 hours any training that you do specifically? That's just training, not necessarily a work environment.
There's usually a minimum of 1 hour on a Sunday that's in public access, or on Saturday that's public access, that's specifically a class for him, that's his rally class. We work
on training, not necessarily work training. It's fun training.
It's fun training. We work on things like distraction training, like squirrels and cats and people, usually every morning on a morning walk. And that's, in an ideal world, that's a minimum of an hour. It's usually, I like to do a 2-mile walk, but I haven't been able to do that since November. And
that's probably mixed with enrichment time too, for free sniffing. And
it is. Right. And then he probably gets 30 minutes of enrichment sniffing and other time, and then outside. And then he gets all kinds of mischief inside that he gets to play with. That, you know, there might be a toy stuffed with food or something
Right.
else going on.
All right, Ray, same question. So how much time do you spend average like working outside the house in a typical day?
Do you mean me?
Yeah, sorry. I
Oh,
always butcher your name and I have a headache, so I'm sorry.
That's okay, no problem.
It's gonna be worse tonight.
Last week we got some out of the house time down in Phoenix. Guinness has been on a bit of a break just because we had some reactivity problems that we're working on. So I'm limiting his time on public for the moment, but he does really well in doctor's offices. So he did go to the doctor with me, and that is a great training opportunity because it can be very stressful. He
Mhm.
loves it because they all love him and he's allowed to greet there.
So would you say an average outing in a work environment is probably an hour or less? Or
Not when we're
right
doing
about
that.
that?
We also go to a restaurant because we're there, at least a
Right.
half a day. So probably 2 hours
Okay.
if we're doing that. And then also we go to church, usually service Sunday and then Bible study on Wednesday. So 2 hours there because we do the social thing too.
Right. So an average work experience is around 2 hours or less.
Yeah. And then we train at home. We're going to start going back out to train in pet friendly places again for now. But we've been mostly training at home, and we do that several times, short periods during the day. So it just
when you
depends on the
plan to
day.
do that pet friendly training, how long
Mhm.
do you hope to make those sessions?
Starting out 15 minutes at a time and building up from there.
Okay.
I think less is more at the moment.
Right. And then ballpark enrichment wise, around how long are you spending just for fun games, enrichment activities like Sniffy Walks, food toys, things like that?
Wait, if my tolerance is up, then we'll do a half an hour. If not, we do 10 to 15 minutes. It just depends on my tolerance level.
Yep, I know that one.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
All right.
He seems okay with, we have a really big backyard. So if I can't take him out, he does get to spend a lot of time, doing his dog thing out in the backyard, which he enjoys too.
Right.
and that counts as enrichment if they're
If
sniffing
they
or
enjoy
digging
it, yeah.
or
Yeah, and
fishing.
he gets a lot of outdoor time in the backyard, which he does enjoy. He likes to scold the ravens and do all the sniffy things.
Right. All right, Lyra, you're up if you want to answer our questions.
Yeah, about an hour or out to an hour and a half once a week.
For an outing?
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's because I have a hour training class at like Petco, PetSmart.
Gotcha.
And then like 10 minutes to 30 minutes doing pet friendly, like between either pet store or like fabric stores, like places like that.
Gotcha. How old is your dog? This is an adolescent, right? If I remember correctly.
Almost 10 months.
Yeah, so very early on still.
Yeah.
So you're spending more time training versus any kind of like real work situation because of your dog's age. What about enrichment?
Lots of puzzle toys, working for his kibble, games. Yeah, playing tug, playing fetch.
Are you doing outdoor sniff about kind of things?
Yeah.
Or a walk where they can like just go at their pace and sniff around instead of like in a heel?
Every potty break, I make a Sniffy Walk, and so he gets like 5-20 minute Sniffy Walks a day.
Gotcha.
And I try to do an hour walk along with that.
All right, Christy, you would be up next, and you weren't here when I asked the questions. So we're just trying to ballpark an average day. Obviously, we all have some days that are more extreme than others, or some days where we don't feel as healthy that we do less, but so ballpark, how much do you spend like on an outing that's more of a work related, non-pet friendly kind of outing? How much do you spend specifically training, like for work stuff? And then how much do you spend time-wise on enrichment activities?
Well, Cindy knows the answer to this one. It's been nada lately for since last year or so. I don't remember. I've not been doing anything, to be honest.
You were doing rally over the summer.
Oh yeah, that's right. I was doing rally obedient, wait, advanced rally obedience with him last year. And I think we stopped in the summer or fall. I don't remember
I
when
think it was the end of summer when you stopped.
Yeah, I was doing that. And then I only did public access 2 or 3 times last year. I think it was a doctor's office and Home Depot. And then the primary, COVID, of course, but even before that, my public access went down because the problem was I can't drive now. And I have to rely on my caregivers to take me out. And the caregiver, my first caregiver I had we took Hodar everywhere. And we did all this public access with him at Home Depot, Tractor Supply, all my doctor's visits, and then of course the training too.
Right.
We did different training and stuff. And we did, I think, Petco, but we also did a group private. We did private trainers. We did what was it? We did I did so much with him. And then we also did the absolute dog stuff. And then I did so much of that. I became a pro dog trainer with that. But then my health deteriorated. And then she no longer was with me. And then I began getting a couple caregivers, and they didn't take him with me, or, wouldn't take him. And then my older son, my primary caregiver, and then my mom, they never liked to take him anywhere. They thought, they didn't think it was important for him to go. Even like once my mom asked if my oxygen was important for me to take,
Yeah,
and
breathing is kind of nice.
I know, right? So
I love family.
I backtracked.
Yeah.
And then I used to do games with him all the time and all this stuff, and then I just backtracked. And did a lot of enrichment with him too. So
I'm really good on the enrichment.
Right.
Yeah. And he is getting enrichment right now. He's getting a frozen toppler.
Nice.
And
So let me answer those. Oh, unless you're done. Not done. You can keep talking if you're not.
Oh, that I do have a new caregiver now, and she is willing to take Hodar places and stuff. So that's good.
Nice.
And so I just need to have her get a seatbelt extension, and then he's backtracked. So I do want to work on his leash work and behavior first, because he's
out of practice.
He's out of practice. So instead of walking right next to me because I don't hold on to him. I just use a waist leash and don't
Right.
hold on. I will hold on the walker or I'm in the wheelchair. And then, but he is now not pulling me, but is walking
He's ahead.
or out to the side and ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not focusing in on me. So I
Right.
need to work on all of that, bringing all of that in. And then I have him in a seat, like a, oh God, what is it? The safety pod harness when we drive.
Mm-hmm.
So, and she's in a smaller car too. I haven't practiced having him like in front of, like, how do you call it, Cindy, where he's in between feet
They're tucked
or on
They're
the
tucked
floor?
on the floor.
Yeah, I've never practiced that with him. He's always been in the back seat or in my lap.
If you can do it, it's a
Was a
really
when he was a puppy in my lap, otherwise he was in the back seat. I never even had him crated.
I'm guilty of that one as well.
it's if you can do it, if they are like a poodle's flexible enough where a lab the same with the same physical dimensions is probably going to weigh twice as much and probably wouldn't be able to do it quite as well. I had to but they could do it. But that's definitely high on the list of service dog skills to teach. But if you drive, it's much harder to think about doing it. It's like, I don't make Nick do it 90% of the time because he goes in the back of Ken's truck and it's like, just load up.
Right. That's me too. Azul can do it if he has to, but I don't make him do it most of the time.
I just need to have her get a seatbelt extension. My son had one in his car. That way it gives him a little bit more.
Right.
So he's able to either lay down or sit.
PetSmart carries them.
No, I have
Just to make it longer.
for the specific car.
Okay.
No,
like you would for a fat person.
yeah, it's true. It's for a heavier person, and then you put it into.
Yeah, just gives it that little bit of extra space.
Yeah.
So let me go ahead and answer the questions as well. And then I want to tell you why I wanted to ask those questions. So first of all, Azul is almost 2, and I might go several days without doing any kind of formal training with him right now. multiple days in a row. Some of that has been health related, but honestly, he just doesn't have a whole lot that he needs to work on right now, other than his distractibility around other new dogs that he's not getting to say hi to. But that we work on, like during our enrichment Sniffy Walks. We do a lot of hikes. I'd like to do at least a mile a day. It doesn't always happen, but even if I'm not out walking a mile, then he's sniffing around the yard on a long line with me for a good 20 minutes most days, unless weather doesn't cooperate. But so he does get a lot more maybe enrichment time and just, outdoor together time than some dogs do. But I very rarely train. And then in a work environment, our average work environment is either, an appointment or a grocery store trip, or we're going out to do training with other dogs. That's probably where he works the most, being that I'm a dog trainer. So those are usually an hour to an hour and a half. I do have one group that meets almost 2 hours, but it's mixed up with some work and some play and some work and some play and back and forth. So that's a 2-hour trip, but that's like probably the longest he spends at any one given time in a work mode. So the reason I wanted to ask these questions of everybody was because I wanted to prove the point of everybody's different. Even day to day can be different. Like Cindy had said, this was a busy week for her with almost 4-hour days almost every single day, which is not quite the norm. Yeah, 5 days in a row, which is not quite the norm. And a lot of people with service dogs and other types of working dogs as well tend to get hung up over My dog needs to be prepared to do an 8-hour workday. But how many of us actually do an 8-hour workday ever? You know, most of us, there are some disabled people that work. I get that. Right. And I mean, I try to as much as possible with dog
I'm
training.
trying to.
Doctors, like I have my load is that's one reason I'm so wiped out is I'm have daily doctor appointments all the time and I'm wiped out.
It gets,
Right.
sometimes it gets, depending on the disability.
Physical or occupational therapy stuff.
Right.
Like,
Well, sometimes depending on the disability and what you're going through at the time, like with what I'm going through right now, it's become a full-time job. And it's like, I don't
Oh,
want
yeah.
this job because every time I go to the doctor, I get 3 more referrals. I don't want this job.
Right. And I mean, we all have times like that
Yeah.
when it's longer than other times. But my point was that we're all different, and depending on where our dog is in their training, you know, younger dogs are going to need more training versus more work, as we were able to point out with Lyra. And dogs that have been around a while and actively working the whole time maybe don't need as much training, which is kind of where Azul is right now.
Mhm.
He's not perfect yet, but you know, he's closer than normal. And then if
He's
we've
working.
taken a break for any time, we have to start back slow again too. So I really kind of wanted to point that out.
Well,
So
and that's where Nick's at, because from November until
thank you, sweetheart.
February, I don't think he worked.
Mm.
yeah, we didn't do
I
much
didn't
either.
go I didn't go anywhere. And then he got up and had to go to a dog show 3 days in a row. And
Right.
yeah, and get his title.
So question number 2 is, how do you adjust these routines based on your needs of the day? So for example, if you have a bad health day, how do you adjust that routine to fit into those needs? Or say you have that unusually long work day, how do you adjust your routine to make sure your dog is still getting the time they need for games and enrichment and stuff like that? So if a day is not a typical day, what do you do to make adjustments to provide for all your dog's needs?
Like, I'll answer it if you'd like.
Or are we going around?
It doesn't matter. Whoever
Okay.
wants to start, go ahead.
Well,
Go ahead, Cindy.
okay. So since I have a very routine day schedule, it doesn't happen that much. But usually when the routine is interrupted, it might be for something like a dog show, or in which case, if the option is available, if we go out of town, we take the trailer so I can go take him for a Sniffy Walk after his classes, and I make ample time for Sniffy Walks. And then we chill out. If he's stressed out from all the stuff that's going on, and it's cool enough, he gets stuck in his crate in the back of the truck just to get some chill out time. And I also take his ear pros to wear to provide him some quiet from all the barking, so he doesn't get stressed out from that.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. If we're on vacation, like if we go on a trip and I have him with me, he pretty much, if we're traveling, he'll be sleeping in the crate, and he doesn't want to do anything but sleep in the crate. And then we walk him around we make like every 2 hours, we make a stop, and that's just kind of what we do. Because everybody needs to stretch their legs.
Mhm.
If it's something where we're going to be out all day, I try and give him time where he can give him time off the next day. If I'm having a bad health day, he learned the bad health day routine quite well, unfortunately, this winter. And I now have a second squirrel he now has a second squirrel, because we wore fabric out on the first squirrel, and we play his game called Squirrel. And he brings me Squirrel, and in exchange for giving me Squirrel, he has to do positions. So he'll do a sit and a down, or maybe a stand, and he'll go through his different positions. So there's some training going on there. And then I throw the squirrel, and he has to go get the squirrel and bring it back to me. So he gets some training combined with some enrichment entertainment. He wants to retrieve, that's his drive.
Mhm.
And
For his
he-
mental and physical workout at the same time.
yeah, and then it also
Do
It
you
also-
give food too? Are you giving a treat, like his food treat too, or just the toys?
I'm just doing the toys.
Oh, okay.
Hang on.
Hey.
Just,
Good.
and so, and then I use food treats for other things at that point.
And our for food.
All right, who's next?
I'll go because I'm about ready to run out of battery. I see. We don't have a total schedule except for on Sunday and Wednesday. So if I'm having a bad health day, we'll do things like hiding things and having them find them.
Mm-hmm.
That game, sorry,
that's
my
a good
brain
one.
not working very well today. In the house, and then, like I said, we have a very large fenced backyard, so he'll ask to go out, and he'll stay out for quite a while. He enjoys surveying his domain and walking around and sniffing and telling the ravens off and things like that. He really detests ravens.
Mm-hmm.
He likes doing normal dog things, so I think that's good for him because that is a normal dog thing.
It's always
then-
important.
And when we're in Phoenix, you guys had suggested playing with the flirt pole, but it was in the 90s, so it was far too hot to do that because we weren't anywhere where there was grass.
Right.
It was all pavement. But we did find shady areas to at least let him sniff under the trees and things in the parking lot so that he didn't just have to stay in the car all the time.
Nice.
And then when we're inside in the waiting rooms, we play the look at that game because there's always something scary or way too interesting going on in waiting rooms and in clinics and things. So there's all sorts of games you can make out of that when you're in waiting rooms. We're in the low rent district down there, so there's always interesting things to look at. But
I've
it's
actually
a great
been known to
novel.
like take a dog into the stairwell and have
Ah.
one person up on a different floor and let the dog
Uh-huh.
go back and forth just to get some movement in with, an air conditioned, more comfortable place when it's too nasty outside to do that. Because that way they
trying
get
to
to
figure
move
out-
back and forth if you
I'm
can
trying to
find a
figure out
quiet
what-
stairwell to do it in.
What he just did, he just jumped on my arm, which is kind of weird. And he's being very insistent about it. So I may need to get out there and see what he's bugging me about.
Yeah, you said your battery was dying too. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm gonna say goodnight, but I'll watch the tape of the rest of it later.
All right. Thank you.
Hi, Ria.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So, Lyra, the question we're talking about now is when you have a day that's like not quite your normal day, what adjustments do you make to your routine to try to fit everything in? As far as the training you need to do, the
That's-
enrichment the dog needs, whatever. How do you adjust your day? And that could be your day is off because of health related
Oh,
reasons.
Yeah, I
can't
was about
do
to
as
say
much.
that's supposed to be a day off.
Or yeah. Or it could be the day where like you're busy working so much and your dog's not ready to do all that stuff. You have appointments or something. So it could be time when your dog's home alone more during the day too. How do you make up for that? How do you adjust routines to cover stuff like that, I guess?
I typically don't. I would just, if they weren't able to get like as much exercise that day, then maybe, they would get more exercise the next day. But I would just typically use that as a day off. Maybe have that be a day where they're working on being in the kennel for an extended period of time alone.
Gotcha. Okay, so I'm the only one that hasn't answered so far.
Wait,
And
what about Christy?
Either.
oh
I
yeah,
didn't-
sorry, Christy, you answered too. You go first.
Well, I haven't been doing much either, but I would say like enrichment, some, maybe some boundary games, some easy stuff.
Mhm.
And then, like,
Christy, you may need to explain boundary games because that's one of our code
Oh.
words from our secret club.
Sorry.
Lyra may
Well, and I
hear
know
that.
what they are, but a lot of people may not. So
Lyra,
go
do you
ahead.
know what we mean by boundary games? Have I explained that yet?
No.
Okay, so there's a boundary. The most simple boundary is your dog's bed or an elevated bed, and when you're using it as a boundary, you're teaching them that they can be anywhere on that bed as long as they don't come off that bed until you tell them not to come off the bed. They can shuffle and shift position. You don't necessarily want Blinks, bouncing around like she does. But basically they're curled up, laying there, and you're rewarding them for doing nothing on the boundary. Or
And
the
that
bed.
boundary can be anything. It's usually
But-
starts out with a mat or a bed, but you can make it be a bench. You can make it be a couch. You can make it be anything
be
you
a
want
rock.
that boundary to be. Yeah.
You can put their
What do you
front
do if
paws
they
on
come off it?
you put them back on it, you redirect them back on it. That's all
Right.
you do.
yeah.
And you reinforce them for staying on it so that they
Yeah.
want to choose to stay on it.
So when you first start teaching them boundaries, you're like drip feeding at a very fast rate, like it'd be drip, 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 drip with whatever you're using as a reward. So like they're on the boundary and you're watching TV, like every 1 to 2 seconds, you're getting just about as fast as they can eat their yummy, you're giving it to them. And what you're doing is gluing them to the bed, essentially.
It's like a settle or something like that, I guess, on a mat or
Yeah, that's what I do
yeah.
first.
like getting them to learn to be rested in an area and
Just
place
relax.
relax. Yeah, relaxed and place on an object, I guess. Would that be a term?
Yep. Yeah, I
I don't
use
know.
those a lot on bad days.
They're easiest on an elevated bed,
Yeah.
a well-defined bed.
Anything that's
is-
defined.
This is,
Is that your
It's-
folding cot, Christy?
huh?
Is that your folding cot?
No, this is not the folding cot.
Okay.
Here, hold on. Let me take off this stuff.
Oh, okay, that's a foam bed. Oh, no, it's not.
It's just a raised bed.
This is I don't know. This is off Chewy. This is a K.
They're real cheap. I think I bought mine for like,
K&H. Love these. Super simple.
Mm-hmm.
And they're affordable.
I bought mine like for $20 at PetSmart when they had the beds on sale.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, you
These
can
are-
find them anywhere from $20 to $100.
But they're a little bit off the ground.
And
And then
it's-
you can put extra, like, I put extra stuff on
you
there.
put stuff on there, but if it's like,
To,
my,
and you
like,
can even teach positions on there and
yeah,
stuff. too.
Mhm.
And like teaching place, go to Matt or I'll tell them to go to place and stuff. How you can do that to different areas.
Mhm.
Can be like that can be like he has places going to the kitchen mat, places going to his raised cot, places going different areas.
yeah.
Place can
you
be
do you have anything that you add or change to a schedule when you've had a really busy day
sorry.
that's not at home?
me,
Yeah.
not, not at home. I don't,
When you've had a busy day not at home, whether he's with you or not with you, do you do anything extra on those days to add to enrichment type stuff?
I'm always at home. You mean when?
Well,
Like
like
when you
if
go
you're at a
down to Loma-
doctor's appointment or
Yeah,
something.
like when you go down the hill to Loma Linda.
I don't bring him lately.
No, but do you do some, do you leave him with a chew toy, or do you do
Or
something
do you do
different with
something
him?
fun when you return or anything like that to,
And we do cuddle and, like a massage, and he likes to cuddle and massage, or mostly we go take a nap, or eat, and then the lickies, like the enrichment, the licky,
The lick mats?
yeah, well, the
or the Kongs and any of the fillable
can be
toys and
frozen, like any frozen licky, or I'm sorry, the words don't come out right
Yep.
for me. But licky or
Your topplers?
the topplers. Yeah, the topplers, frozen lickies,
yeah, there's
I-
a bunch of enrichment toys like that.
chew time is another good one. But then I'll do like something similar, like what you've done is like, I'll do like, say, have him take my socks off and bring them to me, or stuff like that. And then he gets a little treat, or he may not get a treat and just get petted really nice. Or
Mhm.
if my socks or something's on the ground, I'll just go, can you give that to me? And then he brings it to me, and he just loves working. So I'll just give him a reward, or we'll go sometimes just around picking things up, or if there's some clothes or something on the, after I've changed or something, I'll have him pick some stuff up and we'll put it in the laundry. I'll put it in the laundry. He'll pick it up and give it to me. We haven't worked on putting it in the laundry.
Isn't it nice how sometimes working is enriching as well?
Yeah, he loves working. He finds it so exciting. And
Mhm.
You have Mick clean the house.
Yeah,
Huh?
if I could teach my dogs to actually do the dishes, that would be wonderful. I mean, they
No,
try.
they can
I've
use their
taught
tongues.
how to like push the dishwasher, the thing into the dish
Oh
rack.
yeah, yep, to slide it in.
I
They can
couldn't
pre-rinse.
wait us to figure out to put it up.
Gotcha.
Very good. And then we taught the drawers, and we taught the opening and the closing of the fridge and stuff like that. I could do more of that stuff. He would enjoy that,
Mm-hmm.
on my down days.
So I have a couple of different things that I do to try to adjust schedule. So for one, when we've been out and about in work mode somewhere, I have two dogs. So I have my dog that goes out and about and works with me, and he might work at home too, but I have another dog that doesn't leave property hardly ever. So he's always home that we're coming home to. So if we've been out and about, whether it's been, grocery shopping or working with a dog training client or whatever, the routine is I'll strap Azul because he likes this. When we gets out of the car, I'll strap him on his tie out cable. That allows me time to run in the house, do whatever I need to do, carry in groceries or run into the bathroom or whatever. And I grab the other dog and we go outside and play. So Azul's getting the game right away. He's getting a chance to go potty and sniff while he's waiting for me to come back and play his game. But then we tend to play games that are more involving the other dog because he's been home alone for a while. and Azul has some free time there. And then they decide when they're ready to come in, which is usually me and the older dog Cam are ready to come in long before Azul. So he might just stay out and sniff some more while we wait on the porch for him. But so that's our routine on a daily basis. If we've been gone longer than normal, we try to include some more sniffy time in that time frame just to help him come down off of that work zone kind of thing to
Like-
process.
For sniffy time.
So we do Sniff Abouts is what I call them. It's basically a freedom walk, and it can be on either, like a longer 10-foot lead we tend to use if we're out and about, say in a public area when we're doing it. But when we're home, he's usually on a 50-foot long line. Our area is not real secured, and the road out in front of our house, cars drive about 70 miles an hour on. They're only supposed to do 55, but they do 70. And so, I mean, we have a lot of room. We have 10 acres that they can walk and enjoy, and fields and hills and trees and
Mhm.
different types of trees and everything. But I don't let him do that off leash because I don't trust his recall.
Mhm.
Because if he sees another dog, especially, or a bunny or something like that, I need to be able to stop him. So he's on a long line. We also have an old barn that is not used, but it still has like hay and lumber and stuff inside from previous use days. And there's like cracks and things. So animals get in there. So my dogs love to go in and just sniff and explore the barn. So if I'm having an off day or weather is really bad, they can spend 15 minutes just smelling all the smells in the barn. And all I have to do is stand there and supervise. So they get a lot of sniffies like that.
Oh, okay. I haven't even taken him on a walk since he's not been on a walk since honestly last year. I think about beginning before it turned summer last
Mhm.
year.
Are you playing games?
No, I've not been doing that. I've been bad. I've been very, very bad. I've
How
been a
old
bad-
is your dog?
He's a
Huh?
little older.
How old is your dog?
6.5?
Okay. So yeah, well into adulthood. Now I'm gonna side with you there, I mean, Azul is only 2. He does still need walks, but kind of on average, we're only taking a walk maybe if we're lucky 3 days a week. We might do the sniffy walk around the yard, but I don't really count those as walks because like I have a step counter on my phone. So on a sniffy walk in the yard, I'm probably only walking maybe 300 steps, maybe 400 steps if we're out there a really long time. Whereas when we take an actual walk, I try to do a mile to a mile and a half. And so
Oh.
he's only getting those maybe like if he's lucky and he's happy to do it 3 days a week. It doesn't always happen. Nicer weather, it happens more frequently.
I
But
don't know if I've ever even done that.
uh-huh.
I honestly,
You don't have to have, a guard. You don't have to have rural area to take a sniffy walk. I
no,
live in-
but you know what? Then where I'm at, it's just a gated community, but there is foliage around on
Mhm.
the
yeah,
and but the problem is there's other dogs that walk around and pee on everything.
well then
Mhm.
he'd want to. That's how he gets the female.
Him to pee on anything. So he's only allowed to pee on when we first exit on the front bush. And then I walk on the street, like on the street, and I don't allow him to pee anywhere except when we get to the clubhouse. Then I allow him to sniff that area and pee
Are
or
the other
there.
dogs peeing in the neighborhood on the foliage in the neighborhood?
Yeah, even Luna. I mean, she'll try and do. She's a female and will try.
Right.
Well, that's how they communicate.
Oh, yeah.
And if every other dog is doing it, there's no reason not to let him do it on when he's on a sniffy walk, because it's how they communicate. And that does,
to learn to do it like at Home Depot on like
They might try it once or twice, and then you make them do this sit and
Oh my
stare, and then they're
Wow.
over it. They won't do it again because
Yeah.
they have to sit and
Lots of
watch,
bucks.
and they know they're in trouble.
I would, oh my God, I would die if he ever did that.
There are a lot of service dog handlers that don't take their dogs on sniffy walks. So you're not alone there.
No,
It is probably one of the most crucial things for helping dogs, especially young dogs, process environments. So there's starting to be more of a push, maybe not 6 years ago, but now there's more of a push to do that with dogs.
mhm.
And you can
Maybe
easily train them to not mark.
Yeah.
Or else, not in my neighborhood or some other place, you know?
Right.
The other thing is if it's situational where they're marking on a sniffy walk and they know the difference between a sniffy walk and when you call them in to heel and you're shopping and they have to sit there and stare at you while the mess gets cleaned up.
I feel also uncomfortable him peeing on neighbors' foliage.
Then don't let him.
That's just
So
it.
let him sniff it though.
Sidewalks where it's the neighbor's grass, the neighbor's bushes and stuff, and I'm not comfortable with it.
Yeah, I can understand that one.
I get that.
So for Azul, I've worked really heavily on, if he's in a heel, he doesn't pee without permission. But if he's on, say, a 10-foot leash or longer, he can pee at will on anything, except for like my criteria is I don't like lamppost, even though all the other dogs pee on the lamppost, just because I try to I don't want him peeing on anything man-made in other places.
I like that.
So
Yeah.
no lamppost, no flower pots. Like he can pee on flowers. I don't care if they're just in the ground, but not on flower pots, not
How do you-
on landmarks.
Because I would like to untrain him to do that in my backyard.
Yeah. Well, I spend a lot of time with basically when we're out on our walks or hikes or trails, we do he has a really strong leave it when it comes to other things. So if I see him starting to sniff one of those things that I don't want him to early on, I'll tell him leave it and move him past it. So that, okay, so I know a flower pot's coming up and I know flower pots or lampposts are one of the hazards because most dogs pee on those already. So they smell like pee. So when I'm training it, I don't even let him get close enough to sniff it really. Now that he knows we don't pee there, now I can tell him, nope, not a pee place. And he can sniff it and walk past and not pee on it. But in the initial training, I use leave it and I build distance around those things that I know are common areas. So
Nick likes to pee on bushes and I don't like him to. So, but he knows how to pee on the flat. So I generally make him pee on the flat unless we're doing a sniffy walk or if I'm trying to get him to pee and he doesn't want to before we go into PetSmart. And then he's got some rose bushes he pees. I figured it's PetSmart. He can pee on their plants.
Everybody else does.
Right, exactly. So I let him pee on their rose bushes and then he wants to pee on the pillars going back and he's not allowed to pee on those. So we walk faster and we're still on the hands-free leash, but I call him in and tell him, no, you've already done it.
Oh,
So I kind of break that pillar kind of rule of yours, and mine is different because we're in a very rural area. So peeing on trees is very, very normal. The only place we have pillars like that are in large parking lots, and there isn't a lot of green space nearby for peeing. So we'll pick either one lamppost or one pillar that's out in the parking lot further away from the door to give him permission. And that actually is how I get him to help find back to the car. for his task for go find the car. He pees on whatever pillar is closest to the car as soon as we get out. And then he's not allowed to continue to pee on those pillars as we approach. And he's never, ever, ever allowed to pee on the ones that are right up by the door.
Okay.
So that's my rule of thumb with Azul, just because that works with us. And when I had a female dog, we did a lot more trips of parking way out to go pee in the grass before getting in there, kind of thing. And then maybe moving up closer, and it was just a pain in the butt. So I do allow the occasional pillar in a parking lot, which I think more or less is like, that's training if he ever needs to be in an airport or in a place where I need him to pee inside. He has to have a cue to pee on anything like that where he's not allowed to pee on it. So that's just my rule of thumb. Everybody there is different. So we kind of got way off the topic of
Oh, we did. I'm
teens and
sorry.
training, but no, that's totally okay, because that tends to happen with these trainer talks, and I don't
And
mind.
that's good. So Lyra, we were talking about this afternoon. Did that
Yeah.
help answer any of your questions?
Yeah, I was like, that's funny. We were just talking about this.
Well, it
Yeah,
is really
I don't want
funny.
mine. Yeah, because I was saying I don't want him peeing on stuff that's not vegetation. Like you said, peeing on flowers and the ground is fine, but I don't want him peeing on planters or telephone poles or things that people might have to touch. I don't want him peeing on someone's car tires and someone seeing and getting pissed off, or something transitioning to this thing outside I'm peeing on. I see something like that in a store and decide to pee on that because some other dog did, or
Right. And I
Yeah.
mean, we're in areas quite regularly where there might be, say, a Vietnam memorial or something. And the last thing I want is my boy dog to hike his leg on that and offend somebody,
Yeah.
So in those situations,
That's
I'll remind
beyond
him that he has
offensive.
to stay in a heel, because when I figure that's a non-pet friendly kind of area, even though it might be in a pet friendly area. I treat those as non-pet friendly, and I expect him not to pee on anything like that. And he knows that by a heel. And if I see him sniffing anything but overly long, that's usually will precede something before he's ready to hike his leg. So I'll remind him it's a no pee zone. He might smell pee, but it's still a no pee zone. And he has generalized that pretty good, even when we're in an area that we've never been in before, when we come across those types of things.
And
Yeah.
as they mature, they get it better. When-
Right.
And the funny thing is, I have a porch potty that I had specifically bought for if I had a puppy, like my next puppy I got, that
Mhm.
if like they wake up in the middle of the night and need to go potty, I can take them out there instead of having to go down the 4 flights on the elevator and get out to the area where there's
Right.
grass, because that's not like logical with a puppy. And anyways, my female dog, adult dog, will use that, and normally he will get really excited like smelling her pee, and he'll lick her pee and want to pee on it. But out on the patio, I don't know if it's because he's still considering it to be like my house and knows he's not supposed to go to the bathroom in the house, but he smells it, acts like disgusted by it or repulsed or something, and walks away, instead of his normal behavior outside where he like sniffs and licks and pees on it. So that's interesting.
Uh-huh. He might consider that as part of the house still.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was
Those-
hoping that that would be something to train him for, like, airport dog potty station type deal, or
Those artificial ones tend to be harder for more dogs than, I mean, it usually helps if you have another dog that is already peeing on
yeah,
it. But
and that's
other
what I-
than that, a lot of people struggle with those.
yeah.
Hoder will pee after Luna on my concrete patio slab, or he'll
Mhm.
pee on it too.
The other option for midnight potty with puppies is the bathtub.
I would love to train that.
Pardon me?
Yeah, I don't think he'll do that if he won't go on the porch potty thing.
I actually had
No.
a dog do that on their own once. Like, no training whatsoever, but he knew he wasn't
What?
allowed to go in the house. and he was home an extra long time. Something happened we weren't expected, and he had to go. So he hopped in the bathtub and went. I'm like, thank
Yeah.
you. Because
Yeah,
it
I
was
mean,
the perfect
it's-
place.
It's
Yeah,
a,
but my
it's a
husband
good-
too. My husky always went potty and poop in the bathroom if we weren't home.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's a good thing to train if you are going to go on a cruise or something, or if you live in some place where the weather is frightful, or, like you have to go through a hurricane and you can't get outside for 12 to 16 hours.
Right. I mean, as a rule, I don't want him to ever go in the house, especially if I'm home. But if I'm not home and you have to choose somewhere, the bathtub is a perfect place.
Yeah.
Well, I
But-
was wanting to train it in case I needed to go to a motel and I couldn't get outside to take him potty, or if it was
Mhm.
far away, you know?
Mhm.
And I meant, of course I would take him, but
If
if
you
he
had to
need-
hurry and you didn't have that
Yeah.
ability.
right.
Mhm.
So, or like if you're in the hospital or something and they
Yep.
could hospital shower,
Right.
Stuff like that.
So I see that Ashlyn joined in, and actually a few minutes ago. So I just want to quickly give her the questions. We're going to actually run out of time in about 4 minutes. So Ashlyn, on average, and you can just type this, these will be nice, simple, easy ones. But on average, how long of a time do you work on a daily basis in work mode outside your house? I know you guys go out to dinner a lot, so that would be work mode outside your house. But would you guess an average work trip is an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours? Probably on her phone, so it'll take her a little minute to. Oh, she says about 4. An average work trip is 4 hours outside the house. So how much time do you spend? And again, her dog is older, so it's going to be less. How much time on an average day do you spend in training, Lily? And the next one is time spent in enrichment activities, things the dog enjoys doing. So about 30 minutes for training a day. And then just fun enrichment, whether that's Sniff Abouts or food toys or games that are just meant for games. About 45 minutes. And then the only other question we asked was, how do you adjust those routines if something is off in your day? So maybe you have to be outside of the house longer, or you have a bad health day and you're not leaving the house at all. What kind of changes do you make to your daily routine? Do you increase play if you spent more time outside in work mode? If you're working longer, do you play more or anything like that? And we never discussed our final question, which is totally fine because I think we had some really good conversation here while we're waiting for her to answer.
We can always do the final question next week as the question.
Right, true. And it was just going to be, what do you have any tip that you want to give to other dog owners to help balance their day-to-day lives? But I think we answered the most important question of, it's really different for everybody.
Mhm.
Depending on your dog, depending on their needs, their age, your lifestyle in general, everybody is different. And that's kind of the important thing I wanted to see. There isn't a one size fits all approach. So she answered the other question. They don't really change, but if they are at home, they do more training. So if they're out working less, they're more likely to train more.
Yeah.
So that is about it. I want to thank you guys for being here tonight.